Hello, this is Heather with Creativity by Heather BE. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I have a card using a really fun stamp set from Kindred Stamps. If you're not familiar with them, they have some amazing pulp culture stamps and just fun stamps all the way around. This is a stamp set that was originally in a limited edition box set. It was a box set entitled Prehistoric Family. And I missed out on the box set, but they did put some of just the stamp sets by themselves on sale a few weeks ago. So I picked one up from my mother. Her birthday was actually a couple weeks ago or last week, and she loved this Prehistoric Family. So I decided I would use the mama and the baby girl, and I'm going to be doing some copic coloring. And then I'm also going to be doing some Oxide ink smushing for my background. This card is very simple. I wanted it to just highlight the mama and the baby girl, which are just so cute, and then just have a very simple card. So to start out, I am stamping out the mama and baby girl in Gina K Black Amalgam ink. This is an ink that you can copic color with, you can watercolor, and so because I'm going to be doing copic coloring, I definitely wanted to use some copic friendly ink. I'm using my Debby tool to make sure I get a good impression. And the paper I'm using here is Neenah 110 pound. So it's the Neenah Solar White 110 pound. And I am not an expert by any stretch of the imagination on copic coloring. I honestly can't even really say I'm a huge fan of copic coloring. It's not that I don't enjoy doing it. The blendings, things like that, tend to get a little frustrating for me. So when I sat down to do this card and I knew I wanted to do some copic coloring, I decided to just have fun with it, not stress about it, and however it came out is how it came out. So the colors that I'm using today on the hair and the skin will be the same for both. So I'm starting out with the mom's hair, and I'm using E07, Y38, R17, YR04. So I'm going to start with the E07, and I'm just going through the hair and adding my the darker colors. And the hair color on both of these characters is it's red, but it's kind of an orangish red. So that's why I'm pulling in some of the oranges. And the other thing is, and I think this is important when you're doing copic coloring, is figure out colors that work with what you have. I used to sit down to color something and I would run out and go buy 5 or 6 markers because I didn't have the markers I thought I needed the way somebody else had colored it. And so I started just looking at what I had and adding a little at a time. And so that's what I did with this one. There were some other variations I saw online that I really liked, but I didn't have those exact colors. So I just kind of came up with colors I had that were close. And I have sped this up, obviously, quite a bit, just for time's sake. So I have pretty much mom's hair done, and it works for me. I'm good with it. So she has her orangish kind of red hair. I kind of wish it had a little bit more red in it, but like I said, it was fine. I actually did enjoy coloring these images. So for the skin tones, I'm using E21, E00, and E30, and I'm going to start with the E21. I will say the skin tones came out a little bit darker than I would have liked for them to, but I kept them the same. I used the same colors, so it didn't really matter, as much. It's not like one was lighter than the other. So I went in with the E21, then the E30, and then finally with that E00. And I also did her arms and legs the same way and her little feet. Because remember, they do not wear shoes in Prehistoric Family. And her little dress and pearls was very simple because it is white. So I just wanted to give it some shadows. So I added some C2 and C0. And I'm just starting with my C0 and then pulling in a little of the C2, and that's just to give it a little bit of shadow, just so it's not so stark white. And Mama is done. And there you can see her. So now we're going to move on to the little baby girl, and she is so cute. Love her. So her dress is actually what I'm going to start with, and her little dress is green. So I'm going to use YG17, G02, and G12. And I'm going to start with my YG17. It is a very small area on her dress. There is not a lot at all. She kind of has, definitely her head is oversized compared to her little body and dress. So it was very simple, very, very minimal shading. And I am also at the end going to go back and add some little designs on her dress as well. And I am using the same C2, C0 for the little bone in her hair. And for her, I'm going to start with her skin tone and actually do her hair last. So I am going in the same way I did Mama, starting with that E21, going into the E30, and then the E00. One of the things I found that helps too is I actually Googled and found images of the Prehistoric Family, and so that way I kind of had a little bit of a guide, and that always helps as well. And it could be a stamp set that maybe is a lawn fawn stamp set that has critters, and you just want to kind of know how, get an idea of, you know, what do they look like. Pull up an image of them. Pull up sometimes I like to go in and look at like clip art images because they're more cartoony, and look at the colors that have been used, and that helps a lot as well. So we are working on her hair now, and her hair was much simpler to do because it's more of a kind of a flat palette. I know that's probably not the right word, but Mama's had the little swirls and stuff, and hers was very straight, so it made it a lot simpler to go in and color her hair. Once I have the images done, and I am going to take a N6 and go back in and add the little kind of extra images to her little dress. And then I'm also going to take a gel white highlighter or gel pen to give them both white highlights. And there I am using the N6, and like I said, very small area, so that was very quick to do. And I'm going back in with the hair because I just can't leave it alone. It's kind of creating more shadows. And I'm going to take that white gel pen. And for the white gel pen, I probably could have given them a little bit more highlights. But I get a little worried, especially when I've copic colored, because I've spent so much time on the coloring that I don't want to mess it up. But I do love the way that the gel pen gives the highlight, so I just did it in their hair. I am going to use my scan and cut to cut both of these images out, and then I'm going to start working on the background. So there you can see they've been cut with the scan and cut, and they're not perfect, but let me tell you, I am not a fussy cutter, so my scan and cut when I don't have dies is my best friend. I do not like to fussy cut at all. All right, moving on to the background, I am adding down some Distress Oxide, and this is Peacock Feather. And I'm just smushing that onto my glass mat and spraying it very generously with water. And now for this paper, I am using the Tim Holtz watercolor paper. I like this watercolor paper. Obviously, it holds a lot of water very well because that's what it's made for, but I also like it because it's very bright white. I like bright papers when I'm working with a white paper, and so that's why I like this watercolor paper. And it's also something that you can find, you know, at local craft stores like Joann's, Michael's, things like that. So if I run out, I don't have to try to order it and wait for it to come in. I can just go pick some more up, which I like. And For this technique, ink smushing is something I have not done in a while, and it's so simple. I love it. And in this case, I'm just using one color, but you could definitely use multiple colors. And you'll notice that I am using my heat tool and heat setting in between. And I'm not really taking a rag too much. Towards the end, I will kind of take a little rag and blot it. But most of it, I'm just kind of dipping it in, drying it, and then seeing how it comes out. Now, I did grab a brand new sheet of the watercolor paper, and I'm dipping kind of what's left in it. And I really do like this one a lot, and this is a panel that I've saved to use on another card. I like that it's really giving a lot of the kind of flowing and movement with the ink using this one. And off camera, I will take the first background, which is the one that I end up using, and I kind of dip it a little bit more just to give it a little bit more color. And here I'm just trying to figure out which one I want to use. So I dipped that one a little bit more, and then you can also see I trimmed it down and put it on a black mat. So I have a mat around it, and that is the Hero Arts Pitch Black cardstock, my favorite black cardstock by far. And if you've been a subscriber, you've seen other videos where I've used black cardstock, it is that Hero Arts. I will, as always, have everything linked down below. And I just like that it gave it a nice pop. It really made that panel pop out. For the sentiment, I used the Happy Birthday Mom, and the Happy Birthday was from the Prehistoric stamp set. The Mom is from an older Simon Says Stamp Mother's Day stamp set, and I'll try to see if they still have that, and I'll link it down below. So I'm using foam tape to pop up Mama and the little girl on the front of the card, and that's pretty much it. I am going to add some little heart pearls, which are not in the video. I decided to add them later, and you can see those in the images at the end. But very simple card. I actually mailed this to my mother, and for whatever reason, the post office decided to send it back to me. No postage due or anything. So I am getting ready to resend it. My mom is not on social media, so this will not spoil the surprise, but so I still have not been able to see, her reaction from the card, but I know she'll love it. Like I said, she loves the Prehistoric Family. And that's the final card. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you'll check out Kindred stamps. I'm sure there is plenty there you'll find and you'll love, and it'll take you back to your childhood, and just some really fun stamps. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you'll consider subscribing if you're not already a subscriber, and don't forget to like this video as well. I hope that you have a great week, and we'll see you in the next video.